Hello. Good afternoon. This is Mike Kramer, Perry Johnson Laboratory Accreditation Calibration Program Manager. Sorry for the late start. We were having some technical difficulties with the sound system. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay now. Once again, this is the monthly webinar, PJLA. My name is Mike Kramer, Calibration Program Manager. I want to welcome everybody here. Today's topic is specifically centered around the requirements of 17025 2017. We're going to look at comparisons to the 2005 standard, section 8.1 and 8.2, which is the option A and option B category. These are all under the management system requirements. And then we're also going to look at section 8.2, which is management system documentation. As always, this webinar is being recorded and will be available in its entirety at the Perry Johnson Laboratory Accreditation website at www.pjlabs.com. Go to the link for recorded webinar. The duration is set for no more than an hour. These are two relatively short sections. I don't anticipate that going long. However, there will be time allocated at the end of the presentation for you all to submit any questions if you would like. So without further ado, and one other thing I'd like to pass on our website under the recorded webinar, if a colleague or has missed this presentation and want to go back to listen to it, will be available on our website at the tab that says webinar. At the bottom of that tab is past webinars. So actually, there's a vast array of webinars that go back to 2012. They're all available there. You can go back and listen to any of these webinars at your convenience. Focusing on today's presentation, the first part is pertaining to option A and B as presented in 17025 2017. As you know, the standard was revised from 2005 in 2017. Official date of release was November 29th, 2017. So if you look at the table of contents of the standard, you notice section 8 is specific to option A. Section 8.1 is considered management systems options. So exactly what are we referring to here? So if you're an option A facility, and that would be for those of you all that are not operating in compliance to ISO 9001, you're not registered, recognized, you are strictly basing your quality management system for your accreditation based on 17025 directly as before. As far as compliance to the standard, there will be no change. The entire standard will be applicable, will be subjected to the assessment by your accrediting body, should be subjected to the auditing from your internal audit. However, if you're an option B, you can use your ISO 9001, which will ensure that the management system meets the technical requirements, of course. However, your management system requirements that are specified as option A are going to be captured under your 9001 registration. So in general, laboratories shall establish documents, implement and maintain a management system that is capable of supporting and demonstrating the consistent achievement of the requirements of this document being the 17025-2017, and ensuring the quality of laboratory results. In addition to meeting requirements of clauses 4 to clauses 7, which will always be assessed under either option A and B, the laboratory shall implement a management system in accordance with option A or option B. So basically, if you're an option A facility, what's recorded and required in 17025 states minimal requirements to meet in the areas of management system documentation, control of management system documents, control of records, improvement, corrective action, internal audits, and management reviews. Option B, these requirements should be captured through your management system, which if it has been written in accordance to ISO 9001, and we'll see later what PJLA requires as far as objective evidence that it has been written in accordance with 9001. Then also the rest of 17025 would be assessed, more so the technical requirements. So as always, and it's prefaced in 2005, it's also prefaced in 2017, conformity of the management system within which the laboratory operates to the requirements of ISO 9001 does not in itself demonstrate the technical competence of the laboratory to produce technical valid results. This is accomplished through compliance through section 427, which looks at elements pertaining to what you folks do best, the testing and calibration labs, results that you are producing. In a nutshell, both options are intended to achieve the same results in the performance of the management system and compliance with clauses 427, with section 8 of the 2017 standard being management system requirements. So option B is important, of course, for laboratories already meeting ISO 9001 requirements for the management system. Simply requires a 9001 compliant management system that meets all the relevant requirements of the new 17025. Just should make it simpler for laboratories to manage the implementation of two standards, and it is much clearer that a laboratory can cover many of the management system requirements using 9001 compliant processes and documentation with no need for a separate set of documentation for 17025. So speaking on behalf of PJLA, Parent-Johnson Laboratory Accreditation, if you are an option B candidate, what should you expect? One thing we would require as far as adhering to the requirement of 9001 is formal recognition. And this should be through a recognized register. I put Parent-Johnson Register's logo up here, which fulfills that requirement. So we would require that. Section A, so how will that be assessed? Let's say you are 9001, you are registered through a recognized register. PJLA's policy is Section 8 will be assessed on a limited basis. If the lab is part of a larger organization certified to ISO 9001, so say, for example, if you're a calibration lab or a testing lab, and you are perhaps part of a manufacturer, you're a calibration lab or testing lab within a manufacturing organization. PJLI assessment will assure that the laboratory was included in the 9001 certification process. So we have established a guidance document in performing this limited assessment of Section 8. And basically, it is looking, just as I previously stated, that the laboratory was, for example, represented in the management review. The laboratory was subjected to the internal audit. It's a relative short just verification that was included in the 9001 certification process. If you are a standalone testing or calibration lab, that's all you do. You're not part of an organization that's performing other activities such as manufacturing. And in that case, it would be specific that the 9001 certification would cover laboratory activities if that's the only activity that the organization is performing. Then there would be no need to go back and during the 17025 part of the assessment or accreditation process, go back and revisit those areas that would have been captured in the 9001 certification audit. Okay, so that's the basis behind option A and option B. So as stated before, if you are not currently registered and certified through 9001, as far as 17025 is concerned, you will be assessed. Your internal audits are going to be you'll be capturing all the required elements, including the management system requirements. If you are option B, hence initially a certification as far as the accreditation body, time spent initially on that if part of an organization would be greatly reduced. Okay, shifting gears here, gonna look at the section 4.2, excuse me, A2 management system documentation. So we're gonna run some comparisons here. This is an area that's there's a lot of change here as far as what is required. The labs now have greater flexibility on how they can comply with this section. So looking back at 2005 was very specific. Section 4.2 specified the laboratory's management system policies related to quality, including a quality policy statement, shall be defined in a quality manual, however named. So 2005 was very specific. You shall have a quality manual, however named. There was several requirements in section 4.2 that pertain to the quality manual and what was required to be within the quality manual. When 17025 was first undergoing draft and the first draft version of the standards was presented, the first time I heard that a quality manual was no longer required, sort of I took a step back and sort of pondered on that for a while. As a main reason was that was an integral part of the 2005 was a document that was always reviewed, a document that there was specific requirements stated within the 2005 standard. So under section 8.2.821, we'll look at the current requirement under 17025 2017, which states laboratory management shall establish, document, and maintain policies and objectives for the fulfillment of the purposes of this document, and shall ensure that the policies and objectives are acknowledged and implemented at all levels of the laboratory organization. Hence, there is no longer a shall specified in regard to a quality manual. A quality manual is not required, a quality manual can still be used as a useful tool. It can still be used to communicate things like policies and objectives to your organization. It can also still be used as a top-tier document. It can comply with many of the elements. It can be the objective evidence produced to show objective evidence that these requirements are in fact being met. However, it's not required to utilize that as the vehicle. So why the change? 17025 2017 in tune with other standards which are in line with 9001 gives labs greater flexibility. This change results from the greater focus on information technology with significantly modernized document. That is 17025 2017 as compared to 2005. Back in 2005, we were thinking back, didn't have computers, laptops at every workstation in the manner that we see it today. That we still was referring to more often, not exclusively though, paper copies. Think of a quality manual, think of a document, a lot of times in hardback form. However, today, documents, policies, how the laboratory, the quality management system within the lab is more networked, ran through like a LIMS type system. So under 2017, the laboratory can determine necessary degree of documentation. There's a stronger link to electronics today than it was back in 2005. So specified, there is no requirement for quality manual. If you have one in place, there is no requirement that it needs to be rewritten or realigned with the 17025 2017 standard. A good quality manual, however, if you have a quality manual, it's in place in your lab, you find it a useful tool. It's not something that you wrote when you achieved accreditation. You pull it out when it's time to do another, when you're due for another assessment, and it sits up on the shelf. It's not really acting as a good internal tool other than a reference for the external auditor to look at, perhaps. So a good quality manual acts as an important internal tool and can still be used to assure policies and objectives are acknowledged and implemented at all levels of the laboratory organization on a consistent base. So basically, as depicted on the screen here, and the old adage, if you use it, if it's useful, by all means continue to use it. If it's not broken, don't fix it. So something you might want to ask yourself, has your organization utilized the quality manual as an important internal tool? The good news with the revision of 17025 is that you can now convert the manual into something useful. And since there aren't any specific requirements for the manual anymore, you have the freedom to do whatever you like without running into conflict with the requirements of the standard. So recall, it's specified that documentation needs to be the quality management system's reference to supporting documents that can be linked to network documents, policies, etc., and not directly tied down to the top tier documents such as a quality manual. So looking at the 822 requirement in the 2017, spaces specifies the policies and objectives shall address the competence, impartiality, and consistent operations of the laboratory. One thing, impartiality is specified here. If you look at the new standard, I did a webinar several months ago. One on impartiality and confidentiality. Both those areas have been greatly magnified within the 2017 standard as opposed to the 2005 standard. One thing you might notice looking at the standard today, and there's no longer a requirement for a quality policy statement as specified in 2005. However, it's not required. It can still be used as to communicate the policies and objectives to the organization. Looking now at 2005, the standard was very specific, as we stated. The laboratory's management system related to quality, including the quality statement, shall be defined in the quality manual, however named. The overall objectives shall be established and shall be reviewed during the management review. You had to have a quality, so therefore you had to have a quality policy statement. It had to be defined in the quality manual. And the quality statement shall be issued under the authority of top management. It shall include at least the following. So the word shall came up frequently during that requirement from 2005. One thing I like to use the term less prescriptive. 2017 is compared to 2005 is far more less descriptive. It allows you to give more flexibility. Not only was required that the quality policy be stated in the quality manual, also stated it shall include at least the following: the laboratory's management to commitment to good professional practices, the management statement of laboratory standard of services, the purpose of the management system related to quality, a requirement that all personnel concerned with testing and calibration activities within the lab familiarize themselves with the quality documentation and implement the policies and lab procedures in their work. And last but not least, the the laboratory's management commitment to comply with this international standard and to continuously improve the effectiveness of the laboratory. So based looking at 822, it specifies competence, impartiality, and consistent operations of the lab. Not so prescriptive as 2005, which stated specific elements that the quality policy statement needed to entail. Again, a quality policy statement can be utilized to communicate policies and objectives. However, it's no longer required. Continuing with 823, no change here. 823 of the 2017 standard, laboratory management shall provide evidence of commitment to the development and implementation of the management system and to continually improve the effectiveness. You see the requirement in the 2017, which is basically stating the same elements of the 2005 below is stating the same thing as the 2017 above. So what is this telling us? What sort of things, objective evidence can be presented to show compliance to clause 823? This is not by any means an all-encompassing list. Objective evidence of management commitment could be things such as talking to customers, investing in resources, providing training opportunities, management direct participation in the management review, assuring that an effective internal audit program is being conducted, and encouraging communication between departments within the organization. Okay, continuing with the requirements of the 2017 standard, 824 states all documents, processes, systems, records related to the fulfillment of the requirements of this document shall be included in, reference from, or linked to the management system. Hence, this is much more in tune with today's electronic age, where we have laboratory information system that's networked and linked together. Had a similar requirement in 2005, which if you read this requirement and you look at the requirement in 2017, this fulfills the requirement, but it's very prescriptive of how this had to be depicted in the 2005 standard. Stated the quality manual, again, the requirements within the quality manual, shall include or make references to supporting procedures, including technical procedures. It shall outline the structure of the documentation used in the management system. Hence, that was specifically required to be in the quality manual. Oftentimes, to fulfill this requirement, would see this pyramid depicted on the screen here, which had your quality manual as a top tier document with things under that, such as internal procedures, work instructions, SOPs, forms, etc., all feeding into the quality manual. So hence, you can still utilize that and comply with the requirements of 824, or you can still specify and show how it's done electronically. Either way will fulfill the requirements of 824, or it's no longer required to, well, for one thing, no quality manual, and you don't have to document the structure as specified in 2005. Uh, 2017, Clause 825, all personnel involved in laboratory activities shall have access to parts of the management system documentation and related information that are applicable to their responsibilities. That requirement was captured in 2005, stating that the system's documentation shall be communicated to, understood by, available, and implemented by the appropriate personnel. Again, today, as opposed to 2005, often folks have electronics at their fingertips, i.e. computers, laptops, tablets, where those documents, records, instructions, forms that are applicable are normally available now right at their fingertips, whereas in 2005, we're not running through to the filing cabinets or indexing things in that manner. One other requirement I like to bring out here from 2005, it was specific, and this relates to the quality manual. Bring it out here because it does relate to it, and requirements that needed to be within the quality manual, which specified the roles and responsibility of technical management and the quality manager, including the responsibility for ensuring compliance with this international standard, shall required to be defined in the quality manual. So 2017, there is no requirement to have someone appointed as a quality or technical manager. The requirement under resource requirements in 2017 states the laboratory shall identify management that has overall responsibility of the laboratory. Hence, you can still use a quality and technical manager. If you're still using a quality manual, you can still reference that within the manual and define their duties and responsibilities. Still can be used to comply with 5.2. However, actually referring to them in a quality manual and referring to them as a quality manager and technical manager is no longer a requirement. However, it still can be used and comply with the new elements of 426. So again, greater flexibility with the 2017 standard. That's prescriptive requirements as stated in 426 when looking in comparison to the resource requirement that's specified in section 5.2. So just a few closing thoughts here, and these bullet items in here, by no means, these are not required. These are just some food for thoughts. If you're using a quality manual and you're scratching your head and sort of wondering, do I need to keep it? Is this still required, or do I need to start over from scratch? A couple things that I like to just highlight here. So bullet point number one, it may be better to keep and maintain your quality manual for better operations of the lab and reference purposes. ISO 17025 is a quality assurance, quality controlled standard for laboratories and not a management system standard. Regardless of what 9000 specified, a quality manual may still be needed for labs. Quality manual may very well be useful as a point of reference for policies and procedure. There's no harm in keeping your quality manual. Sooner or later, you can transform your policies and procedures in a more convenient way, which may be electronic, graphic, software, etc. However, that's specified during the presentation. Many of the requirements, even though there are requirements, can be captured in a quality manual. Just not required that you do so utilizing the manual. Greater flexibility, less prescriptive. So requirements stated at the beginning, laboratory management shall establish, document, and maintain all policies and objectives for the fulfillment of the purposes of 17025, and shall ensure that the policies and objectives are acknowledged and implemented at all levels of the laboratory organization. And if you think about it, a quality manual still can be used for that purpose. Okay, that will conclude today's presentation. There are two relatively short sections, but quite a few differences there when you look at 2005 and 2017. So I'm going to pause here. At this time, you should have a space on your screen to submit any questions, and please keep your questions to matters related to today's topics. We'll provide you about 5-minute time frame at this moment. At which at the end of the time frame, questions will be funneled into me, and I will attempt to answer as many as I can. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I have a few questions here. Before I get to them, I just want to announce next month's webinar, which you can see is going to be Thursday, September 27th, same time, 1 o'clock Eastern. This is going to be section 7.8, which is the section on reporting of results. If you're in the process of making your transition to 2017, you may find this very useful, as there's some changes here. So again, Thursday, September 27th, 1 o'clock. So got some good questions here. Question number one, is it mandatory for our new calibration labs and existing labs need to submit a copy of the quality manual to local Cal accreditation bodies before the process of the, and I'm reading this directly as I've received it, for the process of being audited. And I'm speaking on behalf of Perry Johnson Laboratory Accreditation. Those folks that are accredited with us, currently under 2005, we have something called an assessment readiness form. And there are various documents that we require you to submit for us to review prior to coming on site. One of them is a quality manual. So hence 2017, considering there is no requirement for a quality manual. However, as stated throughout this presentation, a quality manual can be used in the same manner that it was in 2005, but not required. So the way we address it as far as pre-documented information prior to coming on assessment, don't remember the exact wording, but something to the effect, if you're using a quality manual within your quality management system, please submit that. So the answer is if you're still going to continue to utilize the quality manual, then we do ask for that to be submitted up front. Our quality manual question, will we be required to maintain a work instruction manual with the new standard? Work instruction manual. No. There is no requirement for a specific work instructions. You have to document it to the extent necessary for consistent application of laboratory activities. There is no specific requirement that you need to maintain a work instruction with the new standard. Next question. Our quality manual is paragraph by paragraph aligned with 17025, 2005. Is realign required to reference paragraphs in 2017? There is no requirement that you have to realign your quality manual to 2017 if you're going to continue to use it. And as I stated before, and this is going outside the realm of what's required, if you're going to use it and it's a useful tool, you might find it beneficial, even when perhaps you're doing your internal audit. When you're going to be doing your internal audit when you transition to 2017, that you could cross-reference your own quality management system if it was realigned. Does make it easier. Does make it easier for the assessor if it is. However, as far as it being required, no, that's not required. That is not required. If a client is registered to ISO 9001, is the assessors required to audit to option B? The answer to that is that's your call. You determine whether or not you want to be considered an option A or an option B. If you state option B, as stated, PJLA would require, I know one of the top tier documents would be your certification through the ISO register. And if you hence want to be your assessment, your 17025, not to include those elements all captured under your 9001, you would specify, you would let us know you want to be an option B category and submit the objective evidence that you fulfill the requirements of an option B. If you want us to come in and do you as an option A, even if you are already 9001 registered, and bear in mind, if you're part of an organization, we're going to do a limited sampling of those elements in Section 8. Then you can specify that as well. We won't ask for the supporting documentation that your quality management system was written to adhere to the 9001 requirements. And you can specify, even though if you are 9001, that we can still assess you as an option A category. Bear with me, I'm reading the next question and trying to okay, I'll read it as I'm saying it. We use the ANSI ISO 17025 2005 for our external reference to organize our quality management system. Is there a 17025 2017 general requirements? If so, do you recommend purchasing one for reference? If what is that what the auditor uses for guidelines? Okay, I hope I'm on track here in answering your question. First of all, the standard is available through the ISO website. You can purchase the standard directly from ISO. Don't have the web address handy. Is something you can actually just Google the standard. Purchase 17025. Should be able to purchase it. Is that what the auditor uses for guideline? Speaking on behalf of PJLA, we are already assessing the 2017. We're in a transition, so we're actually doing assessments for 2005 and 2017 right now. And just quickly, the transition period will expire 3-year transition. So everybody would have to have their systems in place to 2017 by August 31st, 2020. Hence, 2005 would be considered an obsolete document after November 29th. What we do have in place, and I'm thinking this might be what you're looking for, is sort of a guidance document to help you in structuring your quality management system, and if you're going to continue to use the quality manual and use it as a useful tool. Up on our website, pjlabs.com, under the resource tab, we have you'll find checklist, and we have various standards that we accredit to. ISO 17020, Guide 34. If you're looking for, and of course, the checklist for both 2005 and 2017 are both up there. So as far as our working document that our assessors are currently using, please visit our website and go to the resource tabs. From there, you'll see checklist, and you'll see the one that's specified for 17025 2017. Okay, looks like that's going to conclude the questions. Excellent questions there. I sincerely hope if you had any questions coming in and you didn't ask them, that they were answered during the presentation. So I want to thank everybody for signing in and getting good attendance. One thing I want to state before I close out here is we were having some technical difficulties before I signed on. Actually having a conductivity issue on my end that wasn't realized until after the presentation was supposed to start. If for whatever reason you did not hear the presentation, apparently some of the emails sort of specifying that some folks weren't hearing it. Shoot us an email, let us know. And also bear in mind this will be available on our website, just like all of our webinars. Wealth of information on our website. Please visit it under the webinar tab, and we're going to go back and follow up on this ourselves. And you can go back and listen to it. But if there was problems out there, we apologize, and please give us feedback concerning it. We appreciate any feedback you can give us. So good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, and I look forward to having you log in September, and we'll talk about reporting the results.